It used to be people, in their feature films, they look down their noses at TV. And, TV to me was always, sitcoms or, the crime of the week that got solved within an hour. And I was like, I didn't watch that shit. I didn't
Yeah.
care about it. I didn't want to do it. And it really wasn't until I was making a movie. And I still remember I was probably out here in Cambridge because it was on Silent Hill 2 where Kit Harrington, who was in the movie, and Sean Bean, who was in the movie as well as the first one,
Yeah.
said to me, "Hey, we've just been working on this thing in Ireland called Game of Thrones, and it's on now. You got to see this. This is amazing." And I was like, "TV, fuck," even though it
Yeah.
was HBO, I was like, "Yeah." So I was like, and then I think it was Sean. He was shooting here in Cambridge, and he said, "I'm leaving in 3 days, and you still haven't watched Game of Thrones. You got to watch it before I go." And I said, "Well, I got it recorded." So anyway, I did. I watched the first episode, and I went, "Holy shit!" And then I watched the second
Yeah.
episode, and I went, "Wow!"
Yeah.
And I went, "Oh, wait a minute! I get this. This is like a big movie,
Yeah.
long movie." So to me, that was what we called in those days long form. So that I understood. I knew how to make that kind of stuff. So that's when I started looking into it, and then I got into television, and we started the television side, and we did pretty well. And a case in point would be, I made a movie called The Mortal Instruments, which
Hmm.
is based on a series of best-selling young adult books. They were really dense. Each one of these books was about 400, 450 pages, and all these characters and these stories and different types of, you had vampires and werewolves and this and that, all these different things. And when we made Mortal Instruments, the fan base who loved these books were like, "Well, what about that? Well, what about that? Well, I said, the movie would have been 3.5 hours long. So we made the first one. It did reasonably well, and we were all set to do the second. We were actually in pre-production on the second when, our because of how the independent films are financed, we had a studio deal, we had various foreign distributors, and some of our foreign distributors started falling out, going, "No, your audience isn't going to be there for the second one." So I said, "Okay." So we very reluctantly pulled the plug, and I remember saying, "Hey, one part of the problem is these books are so dense that it should be almost like a long form mini series like Game of Thrones or whatever." And then we did it as Shadow Hunters, and
Okay.
we did 4 seasons, and it basically hit all the books. So yeah, I mean, there's television that way is now quite amazing.
Hmm.
So, and I think a lot of it is because of Game of Thrones. Even things like Yellowstone. When you look at it, you're telling a big sweeping, epic family drama. So you're not trying to do it in 90 minutes or 110 minutes. You're able to do it over a season of 10 1 hours or 13 1 hours or
People seem
whatever.
to love an abundance of stuff.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know, they like handfuls of candy.
Well,
So,
the other thing, of course, is that what Netflix did was the whole idea is that they're all there. So when you start watching, you're not waiting for every Thursday night at 8.
Right. You can
You
watch
can
it at your leisure.
binge
yeah.
it. That's
Yeah.
what, binge came out. And actually, some of the stuff has now gone back to where you can't binge it and it's pissing people off. So, they're like, "Well, I want to see the next episode of Lord of the Rings, but, it's only Thursdays. It's, blah." So there are issues like that. But, Netflix really broke the mold with what they were doing.